Let's start there in Ezekiel 1:8. Now don't forget, like I said, what we've already talked about over in Ezekiel, about the angels, about the cherubims, about God upon the throne. And to best explain it, God says in His Word that there's books and many books. So this is another book. This is another time we're talking about. We're talking about now. We're talking about the airplane. We're talking about God let us have the design in our minds as we come forth to fight, and He give us the strength to go forward, each one of us, to help go against the enemy. But I'm telling you, it's the same way. Just like Lot, there's going to come a time God is going to come, and He's going to say it's enough, because it's getting worse and worse and worse. But here in Ezekiel 1:8, and they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides, and they had their face and their wings. Ezekiel 1:9, their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. When you look up all this and start searching, you'll see that where they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides, an airplane has the wings as it is on its sides. And there are four, two on each side. And they four had their face, and their wings. There's four nations that God talks about. And these nations, just like over there in Matthew, He said these nations will be. For nation shall rise against nation. But yet, as these planes, as far as to say, the man that sits in them, his hand is upon their wings, under their wings. He is upon them. He's there to control them. And the four had their faces and their wings, the four nations. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went everyone straight forward. They went forward because of their command. They went forward just like the angels that talked about in Ezekiel. Even though we're reading Ezekiel, but we're opening another book about the airplane. Ezekiel 1:16, the appearance of the wheel and their works were like unto the color of beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. So a while ago I mentioned there was the second chariots at one point. Then there was another time we're talking about the angels, the cherubims. We talked about they was in God, and that Ezekiel seen them when they came down. It does describe that and talk about. But it talks about here about man, about where man is in this wheel, a creature, a living creature. We're called as creatures, for if you want to say it at one point. The wheels went by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Now, we look at wheels. Now, wheels is something that turns. It could be wood, it could be stone, and so forth. But yet a wheel is what we're talking about, as far as I'm talking about a wheel. But yet the wheel in the middle of the wheel. God is in control of all. He sits above the stars amongst the circle that we know of the universe. But He made the earth, and He made us. And yet it was a wheel, the potter's wheel. And then we look out and we see the angels in their works and going forth, and the things and all, and the wheel in the middle of the wheel. It's all in God's hand, in God's time, in His control. But yet it takes God. Without Him, we wouldn't be here. And as a plane takes off, what does it do? As it takes off, it goes straight forward. And then it lifts up off the earth, and yet the wheels were lifted up. That's in Ezekiel 1:19. Ezekiel 1:20. Wheresoever the Spirit was to go, that man, that creature, that human being is, in other words, I'm talking about here on earth. When he has an order to go, he goes. Just like the Spirit, the four mighty angels before God, when they're ordered to go, they're going to go. You read in Revelation, when it comes that time that God has enough, he's going to tell them. They're going to take their orders. They're going to take that roll, and they're going to take their order, and then we're going to see these things. But yet, here we're talking about, I'm just making sure I haven't went over the limit. And here we're talking about the airplane and man. Wheresoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and their wheels were lifted up over against them. When they go up, what happens? We stand there and watch them, and they go over us. They go over against us. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheel. So, no matter what, it's all in God's hand. We're in a world today where things are happening. But if I can, I'm going to try to get this in here about the rockets. Ezekiel 14:25. You know, a rocket stands up and it has its wings and so forth and stuff and different things, and some no wings. But yet they stand and they shoot forward and go heavenly. So look at this one now. Rockets, Exodus 14:25. And took off their chariot wheels, and they drive them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. See, he drowned them, as we know of, in the sea, but here we're talking about rockets, and they don't have to have wheels, see? And what are they doing today? They're going up heavenly, up toward heavenward. Ezekiel 1:11, thus were the faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. Now see, there's the difference. Their wings were stretched upward. It wasn't flat, laying down like an airplane. A rocket stand up, and they were stretched upward. 2 Kings 2:11. And it says, and they went every one straight forward, whether the Spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. So see, same thing, straight forward. Ezekiel 1:21. And though these went, and when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheel. So see, how does a rocket do? A rocket stands. A rocket stands. The airplane goes forward and lifted up, where the rocket stands forward. But here in Ezekiel 1:22, and the likeness of the fragments upon the head of the living creatures was in the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. In other words, man can be here on earth, man can be in a rocket, man can be in a plane, no matter where man is. Those that when that rocket exploded, God was in charge. He's still over them. They're in God's hand today. Everything is in God's hand. Ezekiel 1:23. And under the fragments were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had 2 which covered on this side. Every one had two which covered on that side of their bodies. See? Now let's go to Ezekiel 1:26. And above the fragments and was over their heads was like the likeness of a throne, and the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was a likeness of the appearance of a man above upon it. So no matter what above our heads, angels above our head, God is in charge. The throne, the wheel in the middle of the wheel. Ezekiel 1:27, and I saw it the color of amber as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of a loin even upward, and from the appearance of a loin even downward. I saw, as it were, the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about it. Is that not the way our rock is? See, study this out and look at it. But look at it in both ways. It talks about it, about God, His throne, His angels, and other things besides just what I'm talking about. And here, a time has come here, it talks about. Here in Ezekiel 1:3-4, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzer, in the land of the Chaldees by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolded itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. So, then we go in, and then Ezekiel 1:5, and out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. So, see, there are angels. And everyone had 4 faces, everyone had 4 wings. And then here, and their feet were straight feet, and the soles of their feet was like the soles of a calf foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Now, the second, if I can get it in, chariot. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. That's Genesis 41:43. And they cried for him, bow the knees, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Psalms 46:9, he made war to cease upon the ends of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariots in the fire. Psalm 76:6, at thy rebuke, O God of Jacob, both the chariots and horse are cast into a deep sleep. Psalms 104:3, who layeth the beam of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariots, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. Acts 8:28-29, was returning and sitting in his chariot, read at Ezra the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near and join thyself to this chariot. So, we got to look at it. I hope you got something out of this. But I tell you what, God's Word is so deep. There's a lot. And there's a lot that we can all learn from each other. And God bless you. And pray for these wars that there won't be. But I know that there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. And I know that things are looking like they are today. But all I can say is be ready. For these are things that Jesus said that would come. And y'all have a great day. Amen.